Today we would like to introduce something that we named NEWSOLAR. And we'll talk about NEWSOLAR a lot from now on, but let's maybe start with where we're coming from. About a year ago, we did found 1.5 degrees. And 1.5 degrees was basically in a situation where, especially myself, but also my co-founders, were in a situation where we felt really frustrated about the dialogue about climate change. And the dialogue about climate change is mainly driven by the feeling of being helpless, by the feeling of we cannot do it. There are so many reasons, social things, too expensive, doesn't work. And many of those arguments are right. But for us, it was a bit like we were sick and tired of listening to it's not working. And we had the basic fundamental of 1.5 degrees is we understood that we needed to get the best people around ourselves for building the first CO2 reduction company, at least in Europe. So our only purpose would be to really reduce CO2 no matter what it takes. Yeah? And we are willing to commit our lifetime to this. And I think we will talk about this again, and you will also understand NEWSOLAR in that context a lot better. And we did name the company after the Paris Climate Agreement, which is 1.5 degrees. And we are aware that 1.5 degrees is extremely hard to make. If you just look on the screen now, you'll find the yellow line starting in 2002. In 2002, all we needed was a 3% decrease of CO2 emissions, 3% per year, and we easily would have made the 1.5 degree target. And we named this company after 1.5 degrees because it's always the same discussion. Now people are aiming for 2 or something different because they simply want to have more time. They simply want to have another stop. They simply want to rethink. And for us, 1.5 degrees stands for our choice that we have understood it's already too late, which means we need to really go in this without any hesitation, and we need to double down like crazy. There is no time. We are already too late. And 1.5 degrees is basically the symbol for understanding where we are and that there is no room for interpretation. We need to act now, and everybody has to be responsible about what they do. Personally, I don't care about China. I care about what we can do, what our teams can do. And I think that's very important. And this is why we are gathering behind 1.5 degrees as a symbol to fucking get it done. Yeah. Thank you. And I think that's really, again, the topic. Whenever we have a discussion in the group, in the C-level, with anyone we talk to, it's always about that, let's say, focus. It's our own responsibility. My daughter will judge me upon what I will be doing for her generation. And I don't care about the excuses of others. I don't. Yeah? And I think the people who are part of 1.5 degrees, they have also the same attitude and mindset. And we also think, and that's about helplessness, it's about hope. It's about showing that you are not helpless. And it's about doing something and feeling great about it and being excited about it and not being in a narrative where we just have to forbid things and so on and so on. So I think it's really important that we stick to this principle. And I think so far we have found people from Helsinki to Sydney who are buying into that narrative, and which is the guiding principle of what we do. I mean, what we need to do in the end is we need to beat an enemy that is extremely strong. And sometimes people say, Philip, why do you actually say enemy? Isn't that too strong in a language? And I would say in an economical sense, absolutely not. We don't, it's not about us being successful. By definition, we need to end them. So basically, we will not be successful if we have not beaten them. Because if this system remains, there's not going to be the future that we would like to live in. So this, I think, is important to be clear about what needs to be done. And we want to do this not by gluing ourselves to the wall. Yeah? And we want to do this by changing things with our hands, our minds, and our business model. And I mean, all of you know how we envision it. We think about this in a way that we say, we must accelerate the decoupling, and we are starting with the building. It's, you know, it's very hands-on. I love that about 1.5 degrees, and I'm looking at the right people right now. It is, yes, it's so true, and it's so nice to see it's not just about software, it's about real physics. And I think that's really enabling to see how this train starts rolling, right? And we want to go house by house, block by block, city by city. And we are really, really, really motivated about this. And I mean, in the end, we need scale and we need speed. And I think it's worth to take a moment, especially for those new employees who either just joined the group or who have been with a company that just became part of the group, to understand how fast we have been, and at the same time understand that we need to be even faster. A year ago, all we had is an office in my basement. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, so we had a basement and an office. Yeah, and we were not paying rent yet for my basement. And then we really started to have the first companies coming into the group, the first people joining, and the speed has been really fast. So Göttingen is here today. The first transaction we did was Göttingen. Yeah, so a beautiful team. A warm round of applause for Göttingen. Yeah. Yeah. And the problem really is that I want to keep this a bit more tidy now, not because I don't like the teams, I love our teams, but we have so many. So let me just go through it with it, and so that everybody understands and digests how fast we really are. So we went to Remscheid. We went to, and everybody has to know Remscheid, even the people from Australia. We are in Munich, in also Rosenheim, yeah, our pearl of the south, how I like to call it. Bremen, yeah, a great team from Bremen, Hans-Jürgen Dost and his guys, and especially also his wife. They are an incredible team, and that's what we like. We have teams, family members who are joining in our quest. People who have been managing big companies before, from Siemens, TUI, people who have been actually doctors before are joining these teams, and that's what we love. And also, I mean, and a warm round of applause to all our Swedes listening right now. Please. We are on the way of becoming, next year, the aim of the Swedish team is to be #1 in Sweden. So they are aiming for lower end 120 million, higher end, much higher than that for the next year. Yeah? So this is incredible. But also, we've invested in tech. So the energy management system that we develop, you see it here, Heartbeat, is a main component of making this change smart. And so we also came up with a tech team in Berlin. We had a large Series A. We had the Heartbeat launch, and I think this is really important. We did announce something in April, and now the first 1,000 systems have been sold, and they are being installed as we speak, also in Sweden. So we delivered. I'm going to go on, and again, you know, you see all the dots coming in, and behind every of these dots we have a great story, and obviously also Australia is the third largest solar own consumption market globally is important to us. So I think at least a couple of Australians have had the madness to now participate. I think it's 4 o'clock in the morning, so hi to Sydney and everybody in Australia. Thank you for joining and being part of the group. Yeah, and I think we have to say hi to Ricardo and his teams in Finland. Hi, Ricardo. Yeah, I hope you're watching. All right. Yes, and you see that until the end of this year, we plan to have a lot more. And now, today, 1 year after the first acquisition, 1 year after starting the company and becoming real, we are at the NEWSOLAR event. And the NEWSOLAR event is, what are we trying to achieve next to having great companies that are delivering on climate tech? And that's what I would like to share with you now. Oh yeah, and obviously we only started, so we're planning to go all over Europe. Yeah, sorry, I did forget about this one. Yeah, but we had this morning a great team from Poland. I know UK is missing, but we have somebody really great from UK here, actually. So there are many people in the room, and I think there's a lot of agreement among entrepreneurs who have been in this business, in this sector, that it needs what we do. So we need to join forces to build something larger than ourselves, and we will do that also in the next year. Right now, a couple of numbers, and I think the most important, or there are probably three numbers that are very important. One is the group has installed over 45,000 systems globally, CO2 neutral energy systems. No company in the residential segment has installed more. And that's what it's all about, to have that kind of experience. I think that's worth around there. But also, it's averaging about 320,000 tons of CO2. So CO2 impact is extremely important for us, and that's the number that's most important when we talk about impact from an environmental perspective. If we talk about being smarter, improving the way solar, but also clean tech is basically managed, Heartbeat is equally important. So 1,000 systems, we tried to actually sell 500. Sounds little, but we did sell 1,000 units. So thank you very much to the Heartbeat team, yeah, for rolling them out. Australia is following. Sweden is already the first installation, even though there are a couple of things still a bit edgy. But thank you very much, guys. Yeah, I highly appreciate it. Of course, we're not going to stop, but that's, I mean, we know that, right? And of course, we also understand that our business is every euro that we actually make, that our customers are sending towards us for CO2 neutral technology, is being used, is being reinvested. So basically, creating revenue and creating business is the same as a huge collection of money for a purpose that we call 1.5 degrees. So this is why we need as many customers as possible to support what we do, and support that we are improving and that we are going after the climate target no matter what. And this is why we love to be successful on the customer side. And this is why we need to convince customers to also change their ways and actually book our services, because it helps us to move faster. And I think this year we have been moving faster. So growth is about 1,000%, which is kind of good. But but also, you know, you always know the lower revenue numbers are, you can actually provide them much faster. Next year, we would like to double, a bit more than double, go to 600 million euros. And hopefully, this team will outperform that number. Don't you think? Yeah. Yeah. But in the end, we are not fast enough at all. So basically, if we want to be an impact monster, so something that has relevance, I mean, we have a great group already of people, and I think we enjoy what we do. But if we really want to have an impact that changes something, we need to think much bigger. And that's, I think, the great thing about 1.5 degrees. We do something very practical today, and at the same time, we try to aim for blue sky, and we need to aim for it because we don't have time. We don't. So we rather have to be too fast than too slow, because being slow is something we cannot afford. So we need to keep pushing, and you see there's a long way for us to go. And this is also why we need NEWSOLAR, because we need to change the way this business is being sold. We need to change the way how we communicate the value of solar, but also of clean CO2 neutral technology. And why do we need to reinvent solar? I already said that. The problem is that right now, most customers think it's too complex. They don't understand anything, right? This is why they also buy at the competition sometimes, right? Because they don't understand anything, right? So, and why? Because it's too complex. And there are too many bottlenecks. And the entire process is just too problematic. And another thing, it's a multi-asset problem. So from just taking electricity from the grid, you have production in-house, this is interacting with the electricity market. You have higher consumption with a heat pump, with an electric car. So you become a prosumer. You don't even know what it means, but it's kind of fancy. But at the same time, all of this is extremely complex. And if it's done wrong, it costs a lot of money over the lifetime of these units, right? So we need to change our view from hardware purchase prices or even financing cost of hardware to something different. And the difference that we want to make is it's all about the total effective cost over the lifetime. That's the only number we care about. It doesn't matter in the end how much you pay up front. It matters what's the effective value towards the customer. And the main value comes by interconnection in your home, but also to the electricity market. And the value, from our perspective, is so great that the value over 20 years is actually higher than the price of a solar system. And we need to communicate this better. And this is what NEWSOLAR is about. Old solar, in our view, is a threat to 1.5 degrees. Not because solar is bad. Solar is amazing. Simply because it's our job to make it better. That's our job. And it's not good enough yet. Not at all. Yeah, because my daughter is 7 months, but maybe in a year or two, she needs to be able to explain it. And we think we found a way to explain it in just one number. We'll come to that. Right now, what we are living in is basically a sales environment. Customers get sold a solar system, they finance it, they rent it, they buy it, they get storage, they get a heat pump, they get a charger, and they also have the electricity market and supply. It's all from different angles, and they don't work together. And even worse, they work against each other. I think we don't need to read this. And this is basically summarized the value of Heartbeat in one number. Right now, grid supply costs about 70 cents in Germany. There's going to be a cap by the government for a year, but right now, the average pricing is about 70 cents. If you rent a solar system and you take the total cost over 20 years, because if you rent a system, you have to pay money every month for 20 years, you get out, and we looked at about 500 offers, in the market. In the good part, like let's say the more competitive renters or rental companies, you get about 40 cents effective cost over the lifetime, which is good. Yeah. If you loan finance it, it's about 21 cents. If you buy it cash, I mean, obviously you don't have the financing cost, you go down to 14 cents. However, if you add Heartbeat, including all costs that we have on the software side, already today, without magic, we're going to talk about magic, it's 9 cents. So what we try to communicate is we will be providing the most or the lowest price per kilowatt hour when it comes to the effective pricing over 20 years. And that's our promise to our customers. And this is where we think we will change the industry. Since this is a public viewing, yeah, basically people are capable of, viewing online. People would now say, okay, you can tell me a lot, Philip. I don't buy it. Yeah, so let's look at data, real data, of a family that doesn't have somebody who's basically orchestrating the systems. And let's take a case that could occur, and that is actually occurring. So it's night, and you see on the left side, in the middle of the night, there's not a lot of consumption. You see the electricity price is the fixed pricing in Germany, 40 cents, which is already below the average we see, but doesn't matter, let's keep the price relatively low. Now, in the morning, the heat pump starts working. Why? Everybody wants to take a shower. So basically, the heat pump is providing hot water for the family. And at 9 o'clock, you see also some base load coming in. So people are using anything they need to use in the morning. And then the family is kind of leaving the house when the sun actually is rising. Yeah, you see the yellow sign coming in. And now the family usually is gone. Either they're at work or they're at school or somewhere. And that's, I think, a pretty usual circumstance. And then at night, or in the evening, they somehow come back. And they charge the car. Very simple. Happens all the time. I do it when I come back with my car. I just plug it in and charge. And over this totally normal consumption behavior, they have spent now, if they charge, for example, 35 kilowatt hours at 40 cents, and all the heat pump price as well, adding up to 30 euros. It's expensive, but it's a normal, I mean, it's basically switching from fossil heating to to electric heating and heat pump. So far, so good. Great, right? Now everybody would say, it's all about the cost of the heat pump, it's all about the cost of solar, like how much did I pay for it to get it? But now let's compare this. And again, this is based on real data. So if you are changing to the spot market, where you know one day, not the day ahead market, where you know one day ahead the pricing of electricity, the system actually can use cheaper electricity during the night. So in this scenario, the same family, the car is being charged because there's heartbeats actually online when the family is sleeping. And in the morning, the family wakes up. It's kind of awesome, you know, battery's already full. We have this anecdote with Gunnar from Sweden. Gunnar's charged his entire car from Malmö to Hamburg for €1. Huh? Amazing, huh? So, and that's factual. That's factual. That's how it is. It's nothing anyone can change. This is just the way it is. And now this family gets up in the morning and does the same stuff again. You see the base load is coming up, so they do their thing in the morning. The sun is going up. The heat pump already knows, oh, there's lots of sun, so it's trying to buffer during the mid-time of the day in order to have warm water also for the night. So basically, the system is trying to intelligently switch loads. And then the family comes home, the car was fully charged in the morning. It's not charging immediately at night because it's waiting for the next best point. And in this scenario, same consumption, same setting, they only paid 11 euros. And now you might say, okay, right, 20 euros, right? Oh, that's already there. 20 euros a day, okay. Let's assume this happens once a week. And let's just assume Heartbeat has no other value than just once a week, this particular case. That's 50 weeks, right? 52 weeks, 50 days. So if you do that, you come to 1,000 euros roughly per year. If you multiply that over the lifetime, it's about 20,000 euros. So if this works, and it does work because we have the actual data, you can actually generate more savings than, or let's say 80% of the savings that you need to just finance the solar system. And that's NEWSOLAR. And another point is really important for us as well, because right now there's another problem in the market. How do you make sure, even if you have Heartbeat, even if you have those great cost savings with an energy management system being smart and all that, you still need to finance the upfront investment. Yeah? And most families cannot just go to the draw and take out the amount of money. So there needs to be some way of, it needs to be easy. Administration is a pain. Also installation is a pain. Selecting the right partner is a pain. Financing is a pain. So it's all a bit problematic. And we thought a lot about also doing solar rent, because solar rent has a huge advantage. The customer simply signs something, and then we as the operator do the work because we own the system. And since it's also very on vogue with the investors, it's actually something we said, okay, everybody's doing it. Like you have big players doing it, but everybody's copying it, and investors love it. They love it. And why do they love it? Because there is a margin to be made, right? And we thought about, should we enter in the market with a Me Too product like everyone else? And we said, okay, let's refocus on what we are about. We are about improving things beyond the point which they already have improved to. So we said, okay, we will not do solar rent. We will have a financing product instead. And another reason why we think solar rent is a problem, in some cases, not in all, but in some, because you see that customers in the market who are under pressure and who are in fear of higher prices actually are now closing rental contracts with an effective cost of up to 70 cents. So we think if we do solar wrong, it will harm the cause. we will lose credibility. And that's not what we are about. We need to gain credibility with our customers. And we need to be authentic, and people need to believe that we are striving for an improvement. And this is why we decided that we internally will not offer solar rent. And I think the most important point is this one. Especially if you look at the higher end of solar rental projects, they simply lock in customers and take away the flexibility that they would have for additional CO2 emission improvement measures. And this is where we as a team decided we cannot do it. Because in the end, we need to have all saving, every cent, in order to refinance in decarbonizing the entire home. So we need every cent for the additional investments. This is why we decided to not do it and go for NEWSOLAR. And we hope, and we will probably see, that this is the right decision for our company. Now, the point is, like, how do you communicate something like this to the market, right? And for us, it's also about being more easy about it, being easier to being understood. So what we came up with is we say we will effectively guarantee the cheapest KW price, kilowatt hour price, in Germany for solar own consumption over 20 years. So we are up for the challenge to say that we will beat even systems that are being built at lower quality in pricing. So we are up for that guarantee. So we are guaranteeing our customers in Germany will have the lowest effective price. And we are backing this up by a few points. I mean, one is that we are offering 25 years in product warranty. We have free grid connection service, individual planning, and also an administration service, so tax, but also the entire grid connection is a pain. So we understand that this is something customers want to have done. That's included in our service. And in order to take away the hesitation of Heartbeat, of applying Heartbeat, we also decided that until the end of 2022, Heartbeat is also going to be free, because we will prove to our customers first that there is an improvement before we will be charging for it. So anyone who's ordering with us until the end of the year will receive Heartbeat for free. Yeah. Obviously, for that, you also need quick and loan financing at lower cost. So another guarantee that we are giving is that we always will provide, as long as there's bankability of the customer, obviously. And if it needs to be a suitable building, and we need to have bankability with the customer. But as long as there is both, we can guarantee a loan. And also installation and planning with regional in-house experts. I think that's something that we're really proud about, that we try to keep the installation internally and have full focus on quality and execution, because over time you will pay twice if it's not done right. Yeah. And I think, all the other stuff I think is pretty standard, right? I mean, obviously if you get a price from us, it's going to be hedged against inflation, so we'll keep the price for you. And I think what's even more important is, if any customer comes up and says we cannot deliver on these claims, then we will pay their electricity bill for the time period we made them wait for a better option. Yeah, so anyone who's thinking, like, is it worth it to check on 1.5 degrees, check it. Because if you find us guilty of non-performance, we will pay your electricity bill. Thank you. And maybe one last thing. We also decided at 1.5 degrees to not spend 1 million in a month on advertising. We believe a good product will be sold because it's good. And it will convince new customers because they convince each other. So we have a zero advertising, not zero, it's not true. It's maybe 2,000 euros a month. Yeah, but we have a very, very, very low budget for online marketing. And we want to keep it that way because our promise is, if you have to invest a lot of money in online marketing, somehow we think it's not the best product. Because if you have to pay for customers to choose you, you're not doing the right thing. So we want to stay true in the core, and so we will not have crazy online marketing on this. We're just going to go door by door, customer by customer, block by block, city by city. Yeah. Thank you. But 1.5 degree would not be the company it is if we would stop there. Because you remember, and everybody who works with us knows that if something is good, it's immediately not good enough, right? And again, it's simply about making the deal and innovating the industry, even if at some point we are not most innovators anymore, but we want to really change stuff that we think customers don't like. And we want to change stuff that we think are a big threat to our business plan. And there's something that needs to be done, and Yannick will do it.
Thank you very much. So good to see everyone. And also, I have to say I'm especially excited about everybody dialing in from Sweden, from Finland, and maybe even from Australia very early in the morning. I'm here to talk about something actually quite unusual for our company. So normally we're very much focused on software, on connecting, on creating additional value through Heartbeat. Today I want to talk about hardware. We need to talk about solar panels. So why do we need to talk about solar panels? We believe they are crucial to our mission, and unfortunately the supply chain, so where they come from and how they are made, is extremely critical. So we need to act, and we believe we need to act now. Before we look at what we've brought with us today for you guys, let me explain a little bit about how solar panels are made, and please bear with me. It all starts with a material called polysilicon, which is processed into large crystallized blocks called ingots, and then you cut tiny little slices off of those blocks, and those are called wafers. They're basically the heart of every solar panel. And then you take a lot of those wafers, you process them into cells, and finally assemble a solar panel. Why do you need to know that, and why is this important? What matters is, where do these materials and those components come from? And if we look at the numbers, I think I don't need to explain why we need to talk about this. So most of our material comes from China. And why is this critical, especially now? We have a difficult geopolitical situation on one hand, with the situation with Taiwan. And on the other hand, we have reports, unfortunately proven reports, of forced labor in certain areas of China, especially in those where polysilicon is being manufactured. And this is why I believe it's our responsibility to talk about it, to understand it, and to act. So, what can we do? You saw the numbers. There's simply no way to get around China at this point. And we're not saying that Chinese manufacturers or Chinese companies are bad in general. It's just we need to understand where is the critical path and where can we really make change and put the money of our customers to good use. Because at the end of the day, our customers are giving us money, and it's our duty to do something responsible with it and purchase materials that are sourced as renewable and ethical as possible. So what is done very often in this market is that we focus on the panel, on the final assembly, and then we take all those components from all over the world and we say, like, let's assemble them in Germany or in another European country. We think that's not enough. We think we need to get to the root cause, and we need to tackle this problem from both ends. And where you can have true impact, because this is the most critical part in the supply chain, is the polysilicon. And the polysilicon is not only the most critical part in terms of under which circumstances it's been mined and processed, but of course also needed desperately to make sure we can keep going and keep doing what we do. So I'm extremely proud that today we can present to you the very first 1,5 solar panel made from 100% polysilicon from Europe. All right. All right, so what does it do? It generates power. The first thing, and this is really the most important one, is that we want step by step to take responsibility and control of the supply chain. And in this case, the best way, in our opinion, is to start with the raw materials, with the polysilicon. And of course, we want this to be a great, high-quality product, and we want to come with great specs and high power output, high efficiency, and we believe also that it's aesthetically pleasing, right? So of course, it's a full black panel with black frame and everything. It comes with a 25-year product warranty, which we believe is absolutely key if we talk about the significant investment our people are making into their homes. And of course, it's going to be a warranty issued by us, by a German company, by 1,5 Grad. And there's two more things I want to make sure you take home with you tonight. And the first thing is that we aim to create the cheapest product with the most responsible impact that we can, and that we make sure that a sustainable and ethical solution is still economical and affordable. That's the first promise. And then, of course, as always with these types of announcements, we're going to be measured by our availability, or our ability to deliver, right? So the second promise is that we're going to ship the first panels to customers across Europe and Australia by the middle of next year. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed our presentation and you stick around a little longer, everybody who's here physically in Hamburg. Grab a beer, have a snack, let's have a chat, and thank you very much.